Who can human traffickers be? Human trafficking is something that takes place in every part of the world. It's literally a growing international crisis. And in South Africa, we've had many cases of human trafficking. We've had the very first case that was reported and prosecuted was the case of Griselda Grooteboom. She was recruited, very interestingly enough, by a friend. And what happened with her was, and this is a typical example of how a person close to you can become a part of this incredibly sad um, statistic, is she was approached by a friend. Her friend had known that she was looking for work, and her friend approached her. At that time, she stayed in Cape Town, and her friend approached her and she said, "Come and stay with me in Josie. We can find you a job. I'll help you find a job." So Griselda packed up and she got onto the bus all the way to Johannesburg. And when she arrived at her friend's apartment, her friend just had a bed. I think she had very meager furniture in her flat. So Griselda was a bit taken aback and she said, "Okay, well, I see, there's only one bed or whatever the case may be. How, are we going to do this?" And her friend said, "No, no, no, don't worry. As soon as we get you a job, you'll earn good money. And then, we can buy more furniture and all of that and so forth." And her friend then said, "Listen, Griselda, take a shower, have a nap. I'm going out quickly. I'm just going to get some, stuff that we need." And her friend left the apartment. Griselda showered, she got into her bed, and she woke up by the blow of a hit, someone kicking her, hitting her, and so forth. She was obviously in shock. It kept on coming, and eventually she, like, when she literally couldn't fight back anymore. It was a few Nigerian guys that was in the flat with her. She didn't know how they obtained entry. And then eventually she was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Or whatever, you've got the wrong person," or whatever the case may be. And they laughed. They started laughing and they said, "Well, didn't your friend tell you?" And she said, "Did my friend tell me what?" And they said, "She sold you to us." And then she was like, "How do you mean? Sold me to you?" And they said, "Yeah, for her studies, for her study fees." And this literally was where Griselda Grootboom's human trafficking journey started. And she was then enslaved. She was a sexual slave, sex slave, and they forced drugs down her throat. She was raped several times a day. Today, she's one of our biggest voices speaking out against human trafficking, and trying to create an awareness in South Africa about this. There's one other lady, she was actually involved in a date. It was an online dating game, or online dating. And she met this amazing guy online and they started chatting, what I'd explained in the previous video, where we call it the lover boy or the lover girl recruitment method. They started, chatting just online for quite some time, and eventually they started dating, going out. And then after a few weeks, they decided, well, let's make this permanent. She moved in with him, after quite some time. So this guy took a lot of time to win her trust and to get her to trust him. And eventually, they went out one night and they had, they went out for a night out, and he spiked a drink, and some bad things happened. But in the end of it, she woke up. When she woke up, she was chained to a bed, and she was being raped. So he had sold her to a trafficking syndicate. What followed after that is extremely, extremely sad. She was actually used by the syndicate to go and recruit children in the streets. So if she didn't bring home children, they would torture her, they would gang rape her, they would shock her. This is also one of the ways in which the human traffickers keep the people that they recruit in submission. So the first thing they do when they take you into enslavement is they start raping you and they shock you and they torture you and so on, to break your human will, to break your spirit, and then they start putting you out on the street. This is in the case of sexual exploitation. In all of the different forms of human trafficking, it works differently. There was recently two teachers who was also they disappeared in Vietnam, and Gift of the Givers actually I think they And Gift of the Givers actually commented at a later stage that they suspect that these two young teachers was recruited for organ harvesting. There's many reasons why human traffickers recruit people, but the end of it is they want to make money off of you.